Good afternoon. I'm Bob Redding, ASA's Washington, D.C. representative. And our office is about 2 blocks from the U.S. Capitol. And I wanted to give you a report on what's been going on so far as ASA's involvement in Washington and around the country on items related to our members and the coronavirus. First, ASA's board has recognized 2 major priorities for ASA during this process. Number one, that our members would qualify as essential services in the transportation workforce with the new rules coming out in any municipalities, states, or at the federal government level. Secondly, that of the opportunities to be made available in the various stimulus packages that have been considered or being considered today and this weekend and in the future, that ASA members, independent repairers, would have opportunities to participate if they so desired. First, if we could set the table relative to the stimulus packages. In early March, Congress passed an emergency supplemental bill which added some additional Small Business Administration funds for emergency lending, as well as new administrative money to administer those additional emergency funds for small businesses. Second, this week, the Congress passed and President Trump signed a second package that included paid leave provisions and various offsets for the business community. Important for our discussion today relative to stimulus, U.S. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky has put on the table a bill this afternoon that includes provisions for assisting small businesses. Now, these provisions include a sizable emergency loan package we believe will be administered by the federal government at the Small Business Administration. But for those that qualify, now this is the bill as proposed, for those small businesses that would qualify for an emergency loan relative to the coronavirus, you will get the payroll between March 1 and June 20th forgiven for the loan. Let me say that again. For those independent repairers that would qualify for these small business loans being considered in the U.S. Senate today, what's been proposed is you will get the payroll between March 1, 2020 through June 20, 2020 forgiven from your loan if you've been approved for the loan and adhere to the rules relative to the loan. So that's being considered on the floor. Once passed, it will go to the House of Representatives. The House is already looking at their package and what it'll look like. House is out of session now, but is scheduled to come back in next week. The Senate bill passes, House will act, will conference the bill, and then that legislation will go to the president, who will likely sign it. In addition to these stimulus items relative to SBA and emergency loans and the new rules for those loans under these very unique situation, what we're watching for is also to make sure that we don't see another cash for clunkers initiative like we saw during the recession during the Obama administration. The Obama administration used what was proposed by a Princeton professor relative to cash for clunkers as being a resolution for the recession in the automotive industry. And actually what it did, it hurt a number of independent automobile repairers who saw cars that were coming into their shops for maintenance now taken out of the transportation marketplace, and these vehicles were replaced by new under warranty vehicles. So we're watching for that, and we're hopeful that we can keep out any cash for clunkers initiative that might be proposed by some members of the Senate or some members of the House. Just to recap on a couple of things. Almost all states now have requested a new emergency declaration from the Small Business Administration. This specific federal emergency request and approvals necessary for shops to be able to apply and be approved for these emergency loans. So this is very important. So ASA had a call to action asking members to contact their governors to make the request, and all but a handful of states have made this request of the federal government and been approved. Excuse me. In addition, one of our biggest concerns this week has been those municipalities or states that would classify auto repair facilities as non-essential services or businesses in the local marketplace. This is something that we don't want to see our businesses closed involuntarily, and have encouraged in a blanket email to members as well as non-members that we have in our system, to the trade press, that we want to make sure that shops contact their local officials and request that automotive repair, mechanical, and collision be considered an essential service in the local economy and be allowed to remain open. On a very positive note relative to this, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity, and Infrastructure Security Agency came out yesterday, March 19th, with a recommendation for all states and local governments and stated that automotive repair should be considered essential, critical infrastructure workforce as far as making these kinds of decisions. So that was from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in a recommendation to states and municipalities. So that is very important to our efforts. We are working in a coalition of other aftermarket groups on many of these issues. We'll continue to monitor what's going on at the federal, state, and local level. Please go to our ASA shop website, or to our Taking the Hill, ASA Taking the Hill legislative website, to keep informed about these and other issues. These are trying times, and the economic piece is going to get more serious as we move forward, and we want to make sure that our shops have the opportunity to consider these various programs are going to become available in the near future, and quite possibly we will see multiple stimulus initiatives even after this third one being considered today in the U.S. Senate. Thank you very much, and please continue to monitor our websites.